And we're live.
And we're live, says Jaden. Thanks for that intro. That was great. We are here with Group 3 for the social media show. I am very excited for this team. And fun fact, this is our very first all guys team because Canvas actually sorts the teams. And so I don't have any role in how we pick them. But this has been really fun to watch kind of these guys working together so beautifully this semester. And they've really hit the camaraderie element in this team from what I've seen in such a wonderful way. So I want you to know we are very excited for this show. This show is Kid Influencers and Commodifiable Authenticity. I think a lot of us have been on Instagram or on TikTok and we scroll and all of a sudden you're seeing very young people who are amassing enormous following. And some of them are monetizing at high volumes, and some their parents are involved and some they're not. But regardless of what platform you're on, you're seeing young kids who are influencing. And that's really the impetus of today's conversation. I do want to welcome Team 3, which is Lucas, Jaden, Leo, and Michael. I'm sure they'll introduce themselves. And then, of course, Matilda. Say hello, Matilda.
Hi, everybody. It's so good to be back again for the third week in a row. So I'm really excited.
It's going to be good, don't you think?
I'm sure. I've seen the dry run for this one. I've seen the preparation, and I'm just really excited. I know it's going to be great.
It's going to be fabulous. We're very excited. And of course, welcome to our MC4326 Advanced Social Media and Analytics class, who will be joining us across 3 different platforms. We have LinkedIn streaming, Twitch streaming, and YouTube streaming. Feel free to go wherever you want to go, but do keep in mind that throughout the semester, we'd like you to try out different ones just so you can see how the affordances compare up. I'm going to be passing the baton over to Jaden. Kick it off for us, Jaden.
Well, as Ms. Stewart said, thank you so much for the introduction. My name is Jaden. I'll be giving an introduction to our discussion today for Group 3, and we are talking about kid influencers and their commodifiable authenticity. And to put that into simpler terms, it's honestly just how authentic is the content, the lifestyle these kid influencers are portraying to us on whatever platform they're streaming on. It just begs the question, because at the end of the day, kids are kids. They do have to go through and learn and develop. So what all this constant time on camera, it does do something in a way to kids. Even if it's good or bad, there is an altered change. And we'll be discussing that today. So some questions I would like to throw out to y'all just to get y'all warmed up is when you're watching any kid influencers or any kid content, try to ask yourself how authentic it is. For instance, the revenue that they're bringing in, do you believe the kids getting the full revenue? How far is too far when it comes to content the kids are making? These are things that we'll be discussing throughout the discussion. So I'll be passing it on to my main man, Michael.
Hi, my name is Michael. I'll be going over the social media news. And around the U.S., we've seen on TikTok, YouTube, a lot of kid influencers like Baby Gronk, Big Justice, The Rizzler, Lil Tay. And I just want to talk about them primarily and just talk about their influence in social media. And yeah, so Baby Gronk, he was a youth football prodigy turned meme, and his rise began doing football videos, but exploded online, driven by his dad's constant posts of his training videos and his viral wrist clips. He's branded himself as the next big thing, calling himself Baby Gronk, like the former NFL player Rob Gronkowski. A lot of people aren't living up to the hype. His content is run through his dad, and it looks like he makes him say like a bunch of things that makes Baby Gronk look bad, the kid, and it just makes his father look arrogant and using his son for fame, leading to many people disliking Baby Gronk. And another part is when he was seen with the famous gymnast Libby Dunn, and it just looked weird because Baby Gronk is like around 11 years old and she's like 21, around that area, so it just looked pretty weird seeing all that. And then Big Justice, he's known for his "We Bring the Boom" on TikTok with his dad, and his swagger. So he's funny, and he's got a lot of jokes. And it's just a reminder that these kids are playing characters that adults built them for. So you see him and his father and his family saying like, "We bring the boom," making songs together, And then, of course, the Rizzler, he's another kid that Big Justice brought in, and they've been collabing, showing the Rizzler's confidence and his Riz memes, and it's just entertaining. Sorry, because it also blurs the line between childhood fun and adult level internet performance. And there was also a moment where the Rizzler was seen crying online, and that it just looked like they shouldn't post that because it's an emotional moment throughout their young life, and it's just seen as a bad way. Like showing that emotional side in their life, and in the future they could go back to and look at it and just think like, what was I doing? Like posting them crying. And then also before them, there was Lil Tay. She was a rapper, and at just 9 years old, she was like the youngest flexer alive, like flashing cars, cash, and flexing her clout. And her content went viral, but behind the camera, stories of family pressure and exploitation painted a darker picture, and there was a bad meaning behind all of it. And she became a symbol of how quickly online fame can turn toxic, especially for kids still figuring out who they are. There was a point where she went ghost mode, like she just disappeared and then reappeared out of nowhere, talking about how her going to court and personal issues with their parents. There was just parts where it was said that her dad was abusive in 2021, but no one knows if it was true, so it kind of remains a mystery to this day. And across the U.S., more families are chasing influencer fame for the kids, from sports prodigies to comedy skits, stars to lifestyle vloggers. There's money, opportunity, and visibility, but there's also pressure, privacy loss, and emotional burnout. So I have a question for y'all, for everyone. My question is, what do you think about parents posting emotional moments in a kid's life throughout social media? Because like I said, as you see the Rizzler, they posted an emotional moment throughout their life, and it's a bad way to see it.
Michael, can you do us a favor and put that in the chat, not the private chat, the comments, and I'll pin it for everyone.
Yeah.
Anyone on the team want to jump in? I have things to say, but I can wait.
I think it's pretty like detrimental to, who these kids are and how they mature and like how they grow up, being put under that spotlight, like specifically like Baby Gronk and Lil Tay. Like you're painting such a like arrogant picture of these kids, and they're getting away with acting, like this and that, like this and that. I mean, who are they going to turn out to be when they're like, real grown adults who like participate in society? Like, is that good for them going forward? I mean, it's good in the moment because they're making millions of dollars, but
yeah, no, I want to say that again. It really isn't good at the end of the day. There's a lot of pressure on any child going through child development. I like what Armani said, that these kids are under a lot of pressure. I mean, imagine us. We already get pressure just by posting a post. Oh, I wonder how much views going to have, how many likes it's going to have. These kids, these are literal kids. They have actual platforms where people are constantly watching them, not just kids, but adults too. They have to deal with the constant backlash, viewership, comments that honestly, even adults' minds sometimes get fractured or broken down from. So I can't imagine a child getting put through that by their own parent.
Yeah, I actually agree with Jaden about the pressure situation, especially with Baby Gronk. I mean, he plays football. Football is very competitive, and I feel like his father's putting like just a big target on his back, as long as like as far as football goes, and as well, I think in the future it could kind of mess up his recruiting process, like seeing how college recruiters I guess just see how his dad kind of carries himself. So I think that's something that could affect him in the long run.
Also, I think like there could be some good times through it instead of all negative. Like an example would be EvanTube on YouTube. Like our generation has kind of grew up with him. He would do like all these toys review and a bunch of other stuff like that. And so we all kind of grew up with him, seeing him go to college and everything. So there is positive outcomes with sometimes no negative in it. So it's pretty good just seeing that.
Yeah, I was like a prime example real quick. I see Jaden put her comment, talk about Piper Raquel. We'll get to that in future.
That's definitely going to come up. Absolutely.
It's gonna come up a lot.
Oh, okay. That's okay. I want to jump in here because I was scrolling Instagram and I saw this little girl come into my feed, and her mom kind of manages her account, and she has autism. And so their whole account is about autistic awareness. But there was this one video where she got something like student council president or something, and she was very emotional. And it was like a positive emotion, but she was still crying online. And a lot of the commenters went to the same place of like, should you really be posting that? And I think that this just speaks to like the vulnerability of children online, especially when their parents are making that decision. They're basically functioning as gatekeepers to these kids, and they're deciding to post it without maybe the child having that kind of information. But if we think back about a year ago, this became even more nefarious. If we think about some of the content that has been allowed to kind of move through, especially Instagram. So the New York Times had a few articles that I was just trying to pull them up, but you know, I'm hyper focused on you, so it was not working. But there was this kind of like exposure that all these moms had been kind of managing their children who were cheerleaders or dancers, and they were being basically groomed as child influencers by predators. So these men would come and say, like, I'm going to photograph them for free, and I'm going to help you promote them. And so some of this actually gets into like really dark and deep places. But I would be curious about going to some of the comments, because I think we're going to hit some of these tones throughout your discussion today. But I just want to like highlight, like in one case it's tears, which might be like an emotional level that comes back to haunt them later. But sometimes it's even darker and, you know, potentially dangerous. Are there any comments in particular that we should go to?
I see Taylor's comment. How do you think it affects their mental health in the long run? I think that parents should, like, if they continue to do this, I think they should constantly have like mental checkups with their kid just to see how they're doing. Like if they're doing it right now and their kid isn't mentally there, they should take a break, have a pause, and just kind of check up on their mental health until they feel ready to come back. Then they could proceed with it.
I think there's like a certain level of maturity needed to put yourself out there in front of that many people. I mean, like even me right now, like I'm nervous, and there's like what 30 of us in here. So I don't know, to think like a 7, 8, 9-year-old kid has the maturity to be put on that platform in front of millions, billions of people to see. I just don't know like how healthy that is.
My son has been begging me to become YouTube famous for any reason imaginable. Like he comes up with a new idea every week for years, but I just don't think that this is necessarily a healthy line. Like, do it for creativity, do it for fun, but like, do you really need to put yourself out there? So yeah, I think this is an important consideration, but also like the comments online are so vicious.
Instagram is not a safe place, man. So just gonna say that now.
People have Twitter fingers. They're not afraid to, you know, say whatever they want behind a screen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of those accounts are just like spam accounts. They're just bots. People just trying to troll, get under people's skin. And that's just not healthy, especially not for a child influencer.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Jaden? Oh, sorry, Jaden.
No,
you're
Jaden. No, I was gonna say, because I like what Jackie's last words in her comments was, that exposing a child's feelings to the internet, it feels unfair and invasive. Now, invasive is a peculiar word I like to touch on, just because at the end of the day, you're already putting information. This is like real information that the child is going to be processing at that very moment. I'm crying, I'm emotional, I'm going through something, but the internet knows the same thing. Well, okay, that's fine. Next thing. Oh, I failed the driving test. The internet knows the same thing. These are failures or maybe just bad moments in their lives that they're not trying to have multiple people know. I'm sure they barely want their parents knowing in the first place that something may be wrong with them. So the fact that the camera will be in their face in these times of hardships, it is very invasive. And honestly, this comes from a lot of parents with the mentality of, I brought you in this world, so you're my possession. And that is only acceptable to a degree, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just wanted to say, Sophia said, I get that some parents want to show real life or connect with others, but there's a difference between being authentic and oversharing. And I just wanted to highlight that there's an academic term for this, which is called sharenting. And it's where parents overshare about their kids online. And I think many of us can relate to this. Like, how many of your parents post things? I mean, even now I have to like, is this one okay? with my 9 and 11-year-old. But I mean, we can all relate to that one relative who will post whatever. And I think this is that, perhaps on a higher level. Thoughts?
I think like some things like these are like not public, personal moments, and they should stay personal. Like it's not everyone needs to know everything about everyone.
There's a great question here in the chat from Dustin. How much of this responsibility lies at the hands of parents, the platforms, or the advertisers or brands? What do you think?
So is he saying the responsibility of what's information being putting out? And if he is saying that, I would say 100% it does fall into the parents. So at the end of the day, we have momagers and dadagers, and they're assimilating that role of being the person that's going to be the basically the speaker for the kid. When it doesn't come to content, they run everything else on the outside. So if you're going to take that role into account for yourself, you should be able to take the role into account at a balanced and managed scale. And that is something we were seeing from time and time and again. It is very unbalanced.
Thanks, Taylor. I'm not going to create a channel, but I appreciate it. We have some really great comments and questions, so just please forgive me if I can't get to all of them. But Jaden has a good question for you. What do you think parents should do to protect their kids more? Or what do you think about the parents who get too wrapped up into money and use their kids for profit and fame? I mean, that's exploitation. That's not parenting, in my opinion. But let's jump in.
I agree with exploitation, but I mean that like using the kids for profit and fame is the documentary Bad Influencer. It's on Netflix. We all watched it. It's honestly terrible. It's a good documentary, but it's terrible. And it's like really thought provoking. But essentially this mom, Tiffany, and then her daughter is Piper Raquel. I don't remember who said that earlier, but I mean, she was like forcing her daughter and her daughter's friends to do like weird, questionable things. They had this cameraman that was also doing weird, questionable things. Essentially all for clout and money. They were making millions and millions of dollars. I think the mom at one point was making $500,000 a month. Some people don't even see that in their lifetime. I mean,
that's wild.
and that is exploitation, because she had zero regard for her daughter's privacy, her daughter's safety, anything. In reality, zero regard for her daughter at all, just, to get a buck.
I mean, yeah, to chime in on that, honestly, if you really look into in the documentary and the interviews, you would know that the mom was building, the whole thing's based on the squad. There's a whole thing called the squad. Yeah. That the mom wanted to have this image of like what y'all see nowadays, the clout houses and these clubhouses of all these kids gathered in one spot. She was one of the originators of that. And it got to a point where it was very disgusting. She was recruiting other children through their parents to join the squad, just to make artificial relationships. These are actual relationships. She didn't want friends. They were coupling up in this storyline. And again, these are teenagers on camera having to go through forced couple ups in a way where it brought in revenue. Why? Because this ties right back to what Lucas was saying, where they were having male audience influencers, female audience influencers that were female and male audiences that were a grown age, that were coming in, contributing, trying to groom, unfortunately. And the mother was so blind and oblivious to the money, she didn't see the fact that her children and others were degrading their own minds, honestly.
I want to point out what Two Greens only said about the percentage of the money. We're going to get to that like towards the end. There is like laws protecting that now.
There was also a point in the documentary where they talked about not Tiffany, Piper's mom, but the other moms. They found out that Tiffany was making money off of all the kids. So all the kids' parents didn't know that Tiffany was making all the money and basically taking their money that from all the other kids, all the profit and everything. So that was just crazy to me. And she didn't split it with any of the other parents until that very end.
Yeah, no, most definitely. And I like what Morgan was talking about. Even Piper in the current days, you can very much tell that there was something wrong with her development coming up. Not saying it's Piper's fault at all whatsoever, but she just seems more sheltered and more just not the same. And it does boil down to the fact that the parents did do true damage to their psychological minds.
Yeah, I think honestly, in my opinion, I do think it's a smart idea for these parents to handle the child influencer's account, but whenever money is involved, especially like 500,000 a month, that type of money is insane, and I feel like it's easy to, I guess, get too greedy and then kind of go down the wrong path.
I like what Paloma said. If a kid grows up and wants all that content removed, do you think they should have legal rights to delete it or control it?
Ooh, that's fire.
That's
Yes.
a really good question. I think yes, but it depends because what if the kid is just like a feature? Does the kid have the grounds to say, "Hey, delete the percentage that has me in it"? I think they should be able to do that. Because they're a kid and they don't make decisions the same way that, like, say, any of us would. We're older, we're more grown. A 12-year-old doesn't have the same ability of decision making at the time, or especially when their parents are the ones making that decision.
I mean, yeah, I think that's what happened with the whole Lotte case. Unfortunately, that's why she came out speaking about everything that happened. I mean, honestly, she came back from being ghosted to being fake deaths. Oh, Lil Tay died. Everybody's like, what? Lil Tay died? And the whole time it figured out to be some of her dad or one of her family members that was portraying as death just to revive her name. Again, and what Michael said, to this day, it is really a mystery or not to what exactly happened, but we know there was nefarious acts between the family.
Yeah, what Angie said. I mean, the parents are living vicariously through their kids, like things that they weren't able to do, 30 years ago, and they see an opportunity and they take it, and it sucks.
Oh yes. Do you remember this? It's okay.
Oh, so
Yeah.
the baby from the album cover of whatever the album is that smells like Teen Spirit, but that baby 19 years later sued either the record label or the rest of the band members from Nirvana that are still around because when he was 2 months old, didn't consent to being on the cover of a Nirvana album, which is a great flex. And I don't know why they were mad about that, but
I think his pee-pee was like his privates are all. I'm sure he wasn't happy about that.
yeah.
I mean, this goes back to what I said about the Twitch birth, which is like, I think in 10, 20 years from now, we're going to hear from a lot of these kids that they are psychologically damaged from how much of their private life has been made public without any sort of regard for how it's going to impact their lives. And so that's fascinating. I wonder if Michael has more or if we should move to the next.
I'll pass it down to Leo now. He'll talk about Article 1.
Thank you, Michael. What's going on, guys? I'm Leo, and I'll be talking about our Article 1. The title of this article is Introduction to 2K Special Issues on Child Influencers in Asia Pacific Region by Crystal Abedin. She is an anthropologist who studies internet celebrity and influencer culture, recently introduced in a special issue in social media that looks at how children have become major players in the influencer industry, especially across the Pacific region. It all started with family vloggers and mommy vloggers who share their kids' lives online, but over time, those same children built their own audiences and became influencers themselves, promoting brands, shaping trends, and even earning serious amounts of money before they could even drive. She raises three key issues in her article. First, the little to no legal protection for these kids when it comes to pay, privacy, or exploitation. Second, cultural expectations differ. In some countries, these children are celebrated as digital entrepreneurs, while others, people worry about their ethics of putting them online. And third, it blurs the line between work and childhood, since playtime sometimes is just content time. Overall, she reminds us that this isn't just about kids on camera, it's about power, profit, and protection, and what happens when growing up becomes part of social media business. So, my question to you guys is, would you ever let your child become a social media influencer if the chance came up?
Honestly, probably not. I don't know.
I personally wouldn't.
Is Leo the person who isn't able to put in the chat? Can someone else put it in the chat for him so I can just pin that question?
Yeah, I'll put it in right now.
Perfect. So sorry, Jaden, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I probably wouldn't in this modern day and age. Maybe like 2015, 2016, when times was good for real. Yeah. But today is pretty scary. Having any type of social media. I mean, for the things people could do to simply find your information, to just harass. I wouldn't want my children getting harassed in any means necessary. And the social media is pretty dark out there. So nah, I honestly would say no.
I would say no too, just because I don't want them their whole life to be out in the social media world, and just I don't want them to receive like comments and everything. Yeah, like what Jaden said, I would in 2015, 2016, but now it's a complete different world with social media.
I think it kind of goes back to the like level of maturity too. It just there's a lot of like variables to it, you know. If it's like an immature 7-year-old, then no chance. But if my kid is 16 and like super grown and can really take care of themselves, then that's a whole different story.
Yeah,
I agree with that. I think it does come with a level of maturity, and also like putting myself in a child influencer's shoes. If I see my parents like kind of struggling financially, I mean, I would honestly like, and if the opportunity came up, I for sure would help out my family.
I think it's so hard. Like there's a point at which kids become their own people. And so I like my son is 11 and just kind of like echoing what the two of you are saying. It's like there's going to be a point where there's like a pushback that I don't have as much control over. And I think that's going to be whatever age he's allowed to be, fluently on these social media sites. He can do whatever he wants, right? And so then the job becomes like, how do you shape the perspective, like shape their understanding of like the consequences, I guess. But when we talk about like these really young kids, like, and I'm seeing some that are like toddlers, like 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, and that's when I'm like, oh, I don't know about that. Like that's not something that I would feel comfortable with.
What is the name of that like that couple on TikTok they're like super rich?
And Kyle?
No, he's like an SEC frat dude, but they're loaded and all. I mean, essentially all they talk about is like how rich they are, and they had a kid. And
Jet
like,
and Pookie?
what is it?
You talking Jet and Pookie?
Yes, Jet and Pookie, and now all they post is their kid.
It's gonna be my 1 cent to the discussion today, I guess.
But yeah, I mean, they already had like a lot of clout before it, but now that they had the kid, it's like almost all of their content is that child.
I'm gonna answer. Oh no, my bad. Go ahead, Lucas. Sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm done.
Before we get into the comments, though, I want to know what Matilda thinks about this, so that's not her only 2 cents.
I think I know who you're talking about. No, but like he said, they did already have a lot of clout before, and they had great content before, and like they were doing well with what they had. And then obviously she got pregnant, and they like introduced the baby to the world like the moment the baby was born, pretty much. I think like it was really fast, and like ever since this happened maybe a year ago or something, and ever since it's like been mostly content with the baby. And like before, their content was more like him hyping her up for her outfits and like him buying her really nice things and all this stuff. And then it just did kind of like a 180 when they had, or like, yeah, like a full turn, like when they had the baby. So I just thought it was interesting.
It was like a weird situation because they were obviously loaded already.
There's no plan.
Like they didn't have to do that.
They did not have to do that.
They didn't have to. They just did, right? The answers in our chat are overwhelmingly no. I mean, there's not really much to discuss here other than everyone is saying no. But something that you spoke about earlier, and I think it was Lucas who said it, is like, I would have in 2015, but not now. What is it about the internet shifts that make you say that?
That wasn't me that said that, but I do agree.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Who said that? Okay, Jaden.
Honestly, the internet shifting, I would say it has been a primarily of a downward shift. First off, so we have less privacy. It's more intimate. It's more brain rot, more coded. It's more honestly staged. It's just not as healthy as it used to be. It's not as organic, and that can lead you down a dark path. I mean, even just bringing this new generation to this in this world, you have to introduce them to social media. Otherwise, they won't be able to operate with their generation without it. It is honestly a core thing. I mean, you see our kids nowadays. Not my kids. I don't have no kids, but we see our like the younger generation nowadays. They're always on tablets, phones, YouTube Reels. Oh my gosh, my little siblings love YouTube Reels. Like they can't get enough of it.
Not
But
my kid.
sometimes I'm looking at myself. I'm like, what are you watching? Like, what is this? This can't be real, or this can't be like good for your brain. And at the end of the day, it just comes to show that we have to learn to adapt. Otherwise, our kids will be tarnished or scarred. So there needs to be safety precaution when it comes to this internet change.
I think a lot of it was the rise of short form media, which is like a whole separate discussion, but it's something I feel very like strongly about. But it started with Vine in 2016, 2017, around there sometime, and then TikTok was even shorter because at first it was like 6 seconds or 8 seconds, whatever it was, and like all these attention spans are going down. And like I said, it's a whole separate thing. But
No, but I wanted to jump in these comments actually before we move
Taylor
forward.
has here. I'm like, who
I'm
is this?
excited for these comments. To start off, I want to start off at the very top with Valpal. If you wouldn't let them be influencers, would you let them follow influencers? Most definitely. I mean, at the end of the day, they have to know what the world is like on the outside. So they have to know what other folks are like on the outside. Now, if I start to notice some sort of like, image copying, I would be a little bit, worried for sure. But I think it's 100% okay to like just figure out other cultures and other people out there in the world. So I mean, like Michael, Leo, look what y'all think, man. What y'all think?
I think it would get to a point. I think a lot of people like idolize influencers though, and I don't think that's something that should be idolized. I like what Sophia said. She said kids should enjoy their childhood without the pressure of being online.
Yes.
It's a different space, and I don't think you grow up the same way whenever you're constantly on social media.
Yeah, I think these kids need to stay off the internet for a while and go outside and do some recess. I don't know, just something else.
I agree.
I
I agree.
I see kids sit in my section at work, and their parents will take away like the iPad, and they're just like watching TikTok, and these kids start freaking out.
But the attention span.
That can't be good.
Yeah, I mean, I have a younger brother in high school, and he's even told me that now as soon as you walk into the school, there's like a little pouch that you get, and then you just turn your phone in for the day. So I guess heading into like a good path, maybe.
Maybe. It's honestly though, it's a very funny to say because like when it comes to kid influences and trying to find what's authentic in this like modern day and age, we're in a new path of this is straight experiments at this point. We have no studies to see how this affects kids' brains. There's no type of correlation to go by off of. Like this is new test grounds for the human society. And honestly, all we can do is try to figure out what's the best approach by it. And we've seen some influencers are not doing that. I mean, Taylor's comment got me bawling.
Oh.
About that one mom that Miranda was just speaking about with Lucas, that she brought her toddler to a meet and greet, and a bunch of grown men showed up. Now, off rip, disgusting, right? At the end of the day, your content is clearly being watched by a bunch of grown men, and that does not feel right with me. But any other kid out there in the world, they're going to see that, right? They're going to see these contents of these moms showing off their kids, and oh, look at my kid. They're the next ones. Mom, show me y'all. Mom, do me. They're going to want to go through this process of being a social media influencer, and honestly, not everybody can be that at the end of the day.
I'm going to put my mom hat on for a minute to answer Sophia's question. And that is, I don't want them to be an influencer at all, but I recognize that there will be a point at which I don't necessarily have that say. Because, at the end of the day, we do all have human agency, and I do want to like validate them as humans. So like when they're 16, are you really saying no to them? And they're still children, right? Like you do need to think of it like that. But two, good luck keeping them away from the influencers. Like my kids don't have phones and they will tell me that I am the worst parent in the world because all of their friends have phones and how dare I not let them be on social media or have phones. But they still know who they all are because all of their friends have them. And so that like it's absorbed our popular culture in the same way that like movie stars used to, or the same way that musicians have. And I don't think we can like extract children from that because they're so absorbed in the same kind of popular culture that their friends are. Does that resonate?
1,000%. 1,000%. I agree.
Sorry, I'm trying to read through all the comments. There's a lot.
So many. I think it's okay. We've covered enough. If you need to.
No, we're doing good on time. They're all like very thought provoking. Like Sarah, she asked if there was anything that would make you allow your kid to be an influencer, and this popped in my mind. If there was a way to control the audience, then maybe, because like on Instagram, you can't be monetized if your account's private, so you can't control your audience, at all, because you won't make money. But then there's no point to being an influencer if you're not making money, unless you're a narcissist. Then.
And it's not even just the audience, right? Like the social media platforms have these algorithmic systems that are designed to elicit attention. And if that's that young girls who are gymnasts and dancers are being promoted to old men who are predatory, like that's what the algorithm's going to keep doing because it's supporting itself by like, these are the people who like it. Right? Like they're not thinking through the why of that process. So we have these sort of like infrastructural systems that are going to support whatever is attracting attention and engagement. And that is an even bigger concern for me than the crazy audience numbers, right? I don't know.
Meta's a pretty horrible company though. So I think a lot of it has to do with that too. They have a pretty blatant disregard for
no regulations,
anything like real or like anything that matters.
But I actually wanted to speak about Dustin's comment too, which is a great comment. The parasocial relationships that are created with the influencers can be harmful to those who are having issues making friends, create a community offline. This is 1,000% true, and we will continue to see this until the end of time. You will go through, right? You'll always see that one kid in the corner, maybe that one kid by himself, maybe call them emo, gothy, whatever you want to say about these kids, right? They are still kids at the end of the day. They still need to grow and develop. So they're trying to nitpick and follow these influencers. Oh my God, he did this. Oh my God, he did that. Prime case is Kai Cenat. Kai Cenat has become, and he's not a kid influencer, obviously, but the kids follow him, right? I'm gonna just say he's a prime case. They follow everything he does, everything he do. He brings kids, however, onto his stream, like Rakai, for instance. I do not like the little kid, but it's whatever. He brings Rakai on stream, and kids are turning into him. His sayings, I could be walking into Walmart and I'm hearing what Rakai is saying. I'm like, bro, why is this a thing nowadays where they're copying each other? But there's nothing you could do about it, unfortunately, because that's where they follow and drawn to. Now, if Rakai could be a good kid, maybe, maybe not. At the end of the day, there will be folks that don't like that or don't appreciate that. They don't have an authentic personality. So that's going to tie back to Dustin's comment. That non-authentic personality, that artificial personality, is not going to help you out in the real world when it comes to making real friends and building a real community that's around you in person.
I think this comment's really brilliant, Dustin. And Dustin's not in our class, so he doesn't know that we just talked about this on Monday. But this idea of like how authenticity is now so extracted from this static state, and so much more of this like performativity that is often bound up in these parasocial relationships. And I know we were talking about like more adult influencers and content creators, but I would argue that this is probably true for child influencers too. Like I'm thinking of Ryan's World.
Ryan's World?
Is that what his name?
I think it's Ryan's World.
But what's his last name?
So it's something weird. He has like a weird long last name.
Okay, but you know what I'm talking about. Like he was I'm going to unbox toys and I'm going to unbox Kinder eggs. And
yeah.
And I could see like young kids becoming sort of like that parasocial relationship with this kid who's like constantly online. And he's now and has been like one of the top 10 earners on YouTube for the past decade. And I think that parasociality plays a huge role in that the positive relationship too. So I think it's like both. It's not just harmful. It's also like there's a positive element to it.
Most definitely. It's always a fine line when it comes to this type of stuff.
Thank you, Ryan Kaji. Yeah, that's right. Thank you.
That authenticity that you're talking about is a big thing that my article covers. If y'all want to move into that,
lead us, Lucas. Lead us.
I'll lead it. Well, I'm going to be going over Article 2, which is Managing Authenticity in a Kid Influencers World, a qualitative study with kid influencers and their parents by Elizabeth Van Den Abiel. Elizabeth Van Den Abiel is a doctoral assistant at a university in Belgium, and I do not know how to pronounce it. It's a huge article, but it really boils down to like the authenticity behind what is like being posted and like the content and like the situations on its own. And a big thing that's talked about is the parental authenticity paradox, which is kind of the idea that parents have the authority to decide which content is being posted or not. They're kind of running things. So, but they're positioning it as if it's the kid's idea, or that it's the kid's life, or it's the kid's reality. But it's a like predetermined reality made up by the parent. So is it actually authentic? And if it is, who it is authentic to? I mean, kind of seems like it's more authentic to the parent. And then another big thing they talk about is calibrated amateurism, which kind of goes back to the same thing, is that they're trying to appear spontaneous, or they're trying to appear that it's like unscripted, or it's not. They're trying to appear real, but it's not. They're being strategic about like everything that they post and the situations that they put themselves in. It also says that the majority of kid influencer pages are managed by their mothers, and these mothers are commonly referred to as momagers. I know Jaden said that earlier, which they also talk about in Bad Influence, the documentary, a lot. I started to think about is it better or worse? I mean, it's obviously better, but like, should the kids have a little bit more control into like the content, or should parents have like full control? And I'm going to keep going. The parents are also taking a really, I'm saying a lot of stuff that was already been said, but parents are taking a huge risk by being so open. They're risking a lot of the child's safety, like the information that they put out there. They can find out where this kid is from, how old he is, kind of easy to deduce where that kid might go to school. A lot of like information is being blasted out onto the internet, and they're getting, clout and famous and, popular for this information and the content that they're putting out. But it's like so risky, it's just a dangerous game to play. And sometimes it can be a really good thing that the parents fully manage the page. Ashley, whose daughter is 11 years old and is a kid influencer, said that, and this is kind of like a trigger warning, but pedophiles are the reason that Zoe doesn't have access to her profile, because regularly Zoe receives private messages with videos that are absolutely not meant for her eyes. And you can kind of deduce what's going on there. I think it's just like pretty horrible, and it is a good thing that the parents are managing those pages, because like Ashley said, it's not something a kid should ever see or, be put in front of.
No, that's 100% facts. I mean, once we come down this path of being a kid influencer and getting your kid on the internet, there's pretty much no going back, because not only do you have to worry about pedophiles or any type of grooming or just weirdos in the world, parents have to understand your kid still goes to school. Your kid still beats around other kids. These kids may know your kid. Now, not only do you have to worry about your kid not exposing their information, but other children exposing your kid's information too. And I've seen a couple of cases on that in the past. I'm sorry, I can't bring it on top of my head. I was trying to research it. But there's been cases in the past where other kids have exposed each other when it comes to being influencers off of pure jealousy. Maybe they were a follower, and that, let's say the influencer didn't want to hang out with them that day or something. I don't know. But it has led to bad things in the future. Doxing. People are outside of kid influencers' houses waiting on them, knocking on the door to come visit. There's multiple threats when it comes down to influencers. It is not just predatory, unfortunately. But yeah.
I did want to end off the last part that I thought really stuck out to me about that article is that the total of 19 kid influencers and their moms or parents, whoever runs the account, were interviewed. 13 of 19 started posting publicly online, being a kid influencer at the age of 7 or younger. How does that make y'all feel? I mean, that's 7. I think I just started playing baseball when I was 7 years old. I don't think even Instagram was really a thing yet.
No.
What do y'all think about that? I mean, that's a super young age.
I agree with that. I think it is a super young age, especially with certain platforms like X. There's absolutely like nothing blocked off. Like there's terrible content on there. And I mean, kids nowadays, they just doom scroll, and that's just something they're gonna see. And as a like whoever is a parent and their kids are gonna come crying to them asking, it's just a tough conversation to have with the kid.
1,000%.
I actually have I was thinking like these platforms have age restrictions for a reason. So then like the parent managing the account, they kind of like go past that age restriction, which is crazy. Like the restrictions are there for a reason. Just because your parents are like managing your account, does that like, can we just like disregard the age restriction then? Like, what do y'all think? Isn't it weird?
No,
Like
it's kind of bending the rules a little bit.
Loophole for sure.
But also, despite these rules, of the kids I know in my kids' friend groups, like the number of them who are already on these platforms at the ages they are, high. So I mean, there's the rules, and then what's actually happening.
They're still there. They're still there.
Like even in my research, the 8, 9, 10-year-olds, they're on all the platforms for the most part, unless their parents are saying, here's why I don't want that. And there's different approaches in different households. But by and large, if parents are more flexible, they're on them.
Most definitely. Actually wanted to jump on Paloma's question. It is very philosophical, if that makes sense. Do you guys think that parents are still in the wrong for posting their kids online, even though they know pedophiles have this kind of thoughts about them? Now this right here is a good question, because it brings down to the basis of if the parents are allowing that predatory, interactions to happen in their content, or if they're simply blocking, ignoring any means possible to not put that limelight on their kid. That's where it comes to the part. Yes, it may know about it. They may perceive that it's happening, but they're not necessarily acting upon that or even trying to monetize that audience too. Again, this whole conversation really is a fine line of right and wrong in the middle.
There's like a philosophical idea about that too. Like if something bad could happen, are you just going to stop, pursuing what you want to do because something bad could happen?
Right.
I think if they, like what you said, like in the documentary, the mom knew that there was like weird stuff going on, and that there was this one guy who would like, again, trigger warning, was asking for, like inappropriate pictures of 12, 13-year-old girls in exchange for like Gucci bags and hoverboards. That is like pushing the limit. But if these kids or these like predatory people are, messaging and the parents are blocking them and like actively disengaging and like trying to push that out as much as they possibly can, then I don't think it's like crazy for the parents to keep posting.
I agree, honestly.
I can't add on to that, sorry.
Please.
With the parents, like in the documentary, I don't want to get too much into it because I know we're going to talk about it more. But in the documentary, Piper's mom was willing to do that. She would ship off Piper's clothes to them.
Yes.
And
yeah,
they would talk.
Like it's been a hot minute since I watched this, but yeah, that's gross.
And one of her friends, I think, saw it, and then I think Tiffany just kind of like brushed it aside and just like told her to shh or something. But it was crazy because that's a whole mom doing that to her kid, sending their kids' underwear to grown men.
We could spend the whole show talking about that mom because like,
no, seriously, man,
she was horrible, just like
Honestly,
a horrible person.
One of the kids, like,
yes, that's what I was about to say. He was like 14.
Yeah, He was a minor for sure.
Yeah.
Jaden says one of the girls from Dance Moms, Nia, released a book called Bottom of the Pyramid. It's about her story and what it was like growing up on a TV show and how it affected her to this day. I need to read this. My children are obsessed with this show, Dance Moms, and every time I walk into the room, I'm like, this is disgusting behavior, but it's the same. It's like different medium, but the same kind of problems surfacing. I don't know if anyone has any.
Is that the one with the mom and the kid?
This is the one where there's like a dance instructor. I think her name's Abby. And then there's all these moms and all these dancers, and it's very competitive, and they all yell at each other. And
I know in the beginning of the documentary, Piper and her mom started off at a show like that. And they would
I think it was Dance Moms.
I think it was Dance Moms.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's how she got her start.
Okay,
Yeah.
there you go.
And actually, I wanted to speak about too. I know the documentary, right? The documentary actually has an article. If y'all want to go look it up, it's called Tudum by Netflix, and it's actually not called that. That's what the website's called. The article's called Piper Raquel Squad, or Who's Who of the Kid Influencer Universe, and it literally breaks down to which children were in that, which years, and when they left the year, what age they left, who they were matched or like shipped with by the comments, and they explained why they left in this article. It's kind of crazy. I believe Netflix made it. Yes, Netflix did make this article. Feel free to look at it. It's very informative on the whole documentary and the whole series. I mean, it breaks down there's like 20 kids that have gone through this process of the squad, and it's kind of sickening because each kid was shipped with another kid.
Abby Lee Miller. What's going on with Abby Lee Miller?
She's the dance mom.
Oh, she's the dance teacher. If you don't know, it's probably for the best. Honestly, it's not worth learning about.
I'm just gonna trust what Morgan, Ava, and Taylor said, and that she's like genuinely the worst.
Yeah,
That's what they said.
yeah.
Yes, that's all I'm gonna say.
But so back into what we were talking about. I mean, it's just there's a lot to think about, and it's so situational, and there's just a million different ways to think about all of it, from putting their emotions out on blast to avoiding predatory people.
Right. And I think another thing that's kind of like growing now. So it's not just how, baby Gronk's parents are just like posting stuff on social media. I think the big trend now is like live streaming. And I feel like that's even more dangerous just because the whole world knows exactly where you are. I think the term is called like stream sniping, where people just kind of track you down and then
Doxing.
Oh, that's what it is.
Doxing. Stream sniping is basically it's more for games, honestly. It's more for games.
But yeah, like you'll see like streamers get like swatted and stuff like that. Imagine if it happened to a little kid. Like imagine if like a 10-year-old kid got swatted and cops around his house and all this. It happens all the time.
They did a prank documentary about one of them getting arrested, and it led to him like crying. I think it like scarred him. It was just bad.
That would scar
me too. Yeah, if I was 12 years old and
the
a whole SWAT department came to my front door. I like what Emma said. Could dance moms be a good example of the after effects of child exploitation? Because it was such like it's been going on forever. So that would be great to like study the kids from like whenever dance moms was a little bit newer. If we could not study, but like interview them and talk to them now, and like see how they're doing.
I mean, that's how JoJo Siwa got started too. And I know she's talked a lot about it afterwards, like what it did to her and like what her mom did to her, and not just like the dance, like not just Abby Miller, but what her mom put her through just to make money and how little money she got from it at the end of the day and stuff like this. So I'm sure that goes to a lot of the influencers of today. Like that's like a great warning example. And now people are just doing it on social media instead of on TV.
Yes.
That kind of feeds into the newsworthy example that we're about to talk about is the division of funds. So I'm going to pass it off to Leo so he can talk about that.
Sweet. So for our news segment, we're gonna be talking about the Coogan Law. This law dates all the way back to Hollywood golden age when child actor Jackie Coogan, who starred alongside Charlie Chaplin, discovered that his parents spent all of his earnings, which is crazy. In response, California passed a law requiring 15% of the child's income to be placed in a protected trust account that only the child can access once they're an adult. Fast forward to today, and that same issue is reemerging on social media. Child influencers are generating millions of views, sponsorships, brand deals, but most states don't have a clear law to protect them or protect their income or privacy. Recently, states like Illinois have started updating their laws to extend these protections to kid influencers, ensuring that they get paid fairly for their work online. It's becoming a global conversation, and that raises tough questions about digital labor, parenting, and what it means to grow up in the public eye. So my question to you guys is: social media platforms and parents be required to follow laws like the Coogan Law to protect child influencers, or should families have the freedom to decide how their kids work online?
Can someone post that for Leo? And I'm so glad you went here. I was about to say,
I got it.
I was about to say, like, these issues are not, they're not social media issues. They're issues of child actors. Like, we think about like the Mickey Mouse Club kids and all the issues that emerged from that show. And I love that you went as far back as Charlie Chaplin. Like, that's fantastic. But someone's posting. Does someone else want to jump in with answering that question?
Yes, most definitely. First, the Coogan Law is a very good law. At the end of the day, I would rather have a law to regulate something than no law at all. That makes sense. I know that my family, I don't know other folks, my family isn't the most functional. I have closer ones that I don't, and I have some I'm not close at all with. At the end of the day, we shouldn't leave it up to personal, emotional business between people, because emotion and business does not mix well whatsoever. And with the kid and the parent, that is just a pot of emotions. Yes, the parent be making them, feeding them, getting them clothes. But when the kid grows up and realizes how much money they may have missed out on, or they're not even having saved for themselves in the future, that is a whole can of worms that you have to go through with your parent or whoever your guardian is about the situation. And that's going to ruin lives, unfortunately. So Coogan Law is there to stop that exact situation from happening.
It's a hard topic because the parents, especially when the parents are the ones running the page, but then it kind of is like NIL in college sports, is that you're making money because of the kid, but the parents are the one who like execute it. So the parents should manage the funds, because I mean the kid doesn't know how to manage the funds. It's just, but should only 15% be placed in a trust? I feel like that's not enough. Like 15% of
yeah,
15% isn't very much. California has updated the laws a good bit, and a lot of states have updated it, but what it needs to be more like across the country, because unlike Hollywood, you could be a child influencer anywhere. You could live in a small town in the middle of Texas and be a child influencer. You don't have to live in Hollywood to succeed in that field.
The fact that it's only five states out of 50.
Yeah, New York, Illinois, Louisiana, New Mexico, and California are the only states that have this law.
That's insane to me, especially as of right now with the rise of social media influencing. There should be some sort of updated federal law of this, not even just states. There should be a federal law.
Have you heard about all the people who have started moving their families?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I think even the family from Bad Influence, I think they had moved to have a better chance of succeeding.
Yeah, so because certain states have laws that restrict how much money can go to the parents or how that money is being filtered, which I think is exactly what you're talking about here. Some people have literally moved their entire families so that they aren't being subject to these laws, which I think opens so many more discussions about, what the ethics of this and so much more. But I'm curious about this idea of like, should that be allowed? Like, should there be greater oversight, and whose responsibility is it to have that?
Put a tariff on those parents.
Bro, they're hopping states. They're hopping states to avoid paying. Come on, man. Like
It's pretty obvious too.
it literally is. But I want to actually go on Ava's comment before we move on any further, because I just spoke about yes, parents are supposed to be able to clothe and feed the children, but when they grow up later on, they're not gonna know how much money they actually had. This is a very good thing that we boil down to back to the fundamentals between parents and children and their relationship. Being a parent and feeding, clothing children is expected, not something they should be compensated for. Totally agree that the law is super helpful in protecting the kids, though. I agree with that. No matter what the clothes are, no matter what the food is, I don't care if they're eating lamb chops every day and oxtail, then they're in Gucci. You're doing the bare minimum with the money that you're giving. You're putting clothes on their back and you're feeding their bellies. Now, we can discuss later on the value of the clothes, but when they're adult, what can they do with their Gucci that's size 14Y? Nothing. There's nothing they could do with that besides sell it and maybe get some money back. But you're doing the bare minimum, no matter what the value of the item is.
Yeah, I agree. They're not really like working, and also I'd much rather be like posting on Instagram than working like a full-time office job. I feel like most people would agree.
No, yes.
I mean, keeping enough to the side to pay, mortgage, gas, all that, pay the bills. I understand. But the rest of it really should go to the kids in a trust.
Yeah, 15 is just way too small. Like I like what Sarah said 20 to 30. I would say, yeah, minimum 30 at that point.
Yeah.
A third of the whatever, or 33%. A minimum of a third of whatever the revenue is. I mean, the kid's putting the effort, man. He's on the camera, not you. So
Yeah, if anything, I think the parents should just get 15% of that instead
like
of the
that.
other way.
I like what you're thinking.
I don't know if you've seen the parents who are influencers on their own, and then when they bring their kids on, they are very transparent about my kid's on this one, the money I'm making off this video, he's gonna get part of it. I think it's really cool when parents or influencers themselves bring their kids on and then they're transparent, okay, my kid's gonna get 50% of the money that we're making off this post or whatever it is. You think that they should always be transparent about how much the kid is making and how much the parents is making? Or how do you think, should it be a bigger discussion on their platforms? Or there
should be some level of,
because it's so low, the ones that are not talking about it.
I was always going to say, Matilda, I see what you're saying, and I do appreciate them speaking. But at the end of the day, as viewers, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. They could be saying, yeah, I'm going to do this. And the kid don't know either, for real. He's just there to be there, or she's just there to be there. This is why I'm saying the Kugel law is good. These are laws that are regulated, that have actual punishments. Not just a few comments saying, oh, I don't think he paid, or he or she paid the child. Oh, well, what are the comments going to do? Nothing. These laws actually save these children. So I do think it is very nice for them being transparent about that. But I can not 100% trust that they're doing that, unfortunately, because I don't have their bank account login information. You think that makes sense?
Yeah, I don't think the word matters as much as they think it does. There has to be the actual, they can say these things, but it'd be nice to have the backbone behind it to kind of push them to say these things. But giving the kid 50% is right, I mean, they're also setting them up for success in the future.
And that should be every parent's goal, right?
Yes, it should be. But we're seeing so many examples where it's just not common sense. Jaden says parents should not have the freedom to decide what they want to do with the profits their kids make, and they should follow the laws. The problem is the laws are not consistent. So I don't know how we solve that. Armani says, I think so. I saw an interview recently about a child actor who never had control over her money until she was broke. Her parents and people in the industry took advantage of her. How many stories have we heard of child actors and child singers where this exact same thing keeps repeating over and over and over again? Again, we don't have the protections and regulations in place. Sarah says, I think maybe 20 to 30% because but how do we decide that? It's all so subjective, right? It's Sarah might think that's fair. Matilda might think it's 50%. Lucas might. So I think, how do we decide what's fair?
We really can't. I mean, look at us. We're arguing about tax brackets in this modern day and age. So there's no way.
There should be a federal baseline, though. Should be.
If they get mad about it, they get mad about it. But nothing you could do about it. Like there should be a federal regulation, just how there's tax brackets and tax percentages for how much you're making. It should be the same way, except your kid is the tax. You're paying your kid. You're not giving the government. Does that make sense?
You have to pay the kid, yeah.
Yeah.
Micah, I think they should be monitored by the government or something to make sure parents aren't exploiting their children. That's my biggest concern. But again, I don't know that that's the way to make sure parents aren't exploiting their kids. Like this is such a layered and complex. It's like you could do one thing, but then there's usually going to be a whole bunch of other issues that are actually in that fold. So that's difficult. Angie said it should be a discussion online. At the end of the day, we don't know if they're lying. So she's with you, Jaden.
Thank you, Angie. You get it. You get it. No, but this really comes back to my whole point of we are in a new generation, a new age. We're basically ground zero, patient zero. We do not know how this can like really work for the future. It's so complex. And here we are having so many debates and debacles about what exactly should be regulations. I'm sure the federal government is already doing the same thing in their own time. Well, not right now, they're shut down, but before then, I'm sure they were having conversations about this because it is something that we are at patient zero for. We need to get this figured out now before it gets, under no control later on in the future.
Yeah, I mean, there should be like a bill. People should vote on this because
yes, vote. Yeah,
I'm gonna bounce back to what Micah said again, though. But like, if that situation is governed or monitored by the government, though, it's kind of like impending on your rights a little bit. So that, like, just like Professor Stewart said, that there's so many layers to it. Like, and like what Jaden said, it is like the first time we've ever seen something like this, and the internet changes so much that I don't know if we'll ever be able to like put something in place and for it to be effective in the long run, because the internet's going to change so much in just 5 years. Like, how long would that law or rule be effective?
I mean, soon they'll just all be AI children that are
exactly
existing children, and we'll try and figure out who we're paying and what direction it goes.
GPT babies.
Have you seen that show Upload? I think it was on Amazon Prime. It's like basically it's a show about the future, dystopian future, where people are converting their minds to AI and they get into like a virtual reality. Cool. And they live there. They live there forever. And like they can coexist with the people in the real world. But we're gonna get to that point where the kids are at this point, they're gonna be talking to us. We're all online. Don't do this, son. Don't do this, daughter. Don't do this. And we're not real. And then it's gonna get to the point where they're not real. It's kind of scary how fast technology is moving because it's hard to make kids grow up that fast too. That makes sense. This is where the whole argument comes from. If commodifiable authenticity, we don't know what's authentic, and we will never know until we get to that point where our minds are almost shared through technology or whatnot, or just these connectivities that make it so it has to be authentic.
That's Sophia has a crazy good comment.
But before we go there, I want to say that was really interesting, and I'm so glad you shared. Sophia, a kid can't sign a contract, but somehow they can sign brand deals through their parents. I mean, but this has been going on forever. Like, this is how we've had child actors and child musicians, and it really is just another form of labor. And Ava says, "Oh, she knows the show.
She knows the show. She gets it. She gets it." It did get canceled, unfortunately. Yes, Taylor, this is one giant Black Mirror episode. That's what it kind of feels like at the end of the day. We're getting more and more towards Black Mirror.
I actually have another example kind of question for you guys. Have you seen the moms on like TikTok or whatever? They like teach their kids budgeting. So they give their kids like $20 and then they teach how they should budget their money throughout the week and what they use for. So it's kind of like a vicious circle. Like, the mom is giving the kid money just to make money off the video that she's filming when she gives the kid the money. Like, and it's at the end of the day, it's like $20 or whatever. It feels huge for the kid, but it's like not much in the like grand scheme of things where they make so much money off that one video. What do you guys think of that?
Financial literacy is such a like priceless thing to know, though. So it is, maybe they should get some of the rewards or like the profits from the videos to put more into their budgeting. But I don't think it's like as evil as some other things. or as skewed because that's just like a lifelong skill. I didn't learn how to save money until like 6 months ago.
Have we become a society that has become very comfortable with exposing, exploiting, and profiting from our private, supposedly personal lives? And what's the expense of that?
Your privacy is the expense.
Humanity.
There's like it's just like a clear window. They can see everything. So you have no privacy, but like you're profiting.
And everything's going to stay online forever. Like we talked about this a couple shows ago, how like, especially when you're a kid, whatever gets posted when you're a kid, it's going to be there when you're like in your 20s or when you're looking for a job or when you're older anyway. So it's all gonna
Right. I think all this content is just going to be online forever. And then I feel like at some point, money can't buy you happiness. So, and once you get to that point, you're going to try to find that happiness. But there's just, I guess, your past is just going to haunt you. You're going to regret things that's online. And it's just something you're going to have to deal with.
I wouldn't even say just regret. I mean, you're going to just get fatigued. You know, for instance, has anybody ever, even in the comments, let me know, has anybody ever made a video where they're sitting there and they're, oh, not the best, do it again. Oh, not the best, do it again. Now imagine that's your life. That's your whole career for years on years on years. You're going to be tired of social media. You're going to want to disappear, go ghost, go MIA, however you want. You're going to go through some sort of separation, as we've seen from everybody we spoke about between Lil Tay, Piper. When it comes to all, even some of the different casts of the squad, they don't make media no more at all. You're going to go through this fatigue of social media, and you're going to be either left out of the loop or you're going to have a peaceful life. It's one or the other. But there will be detrimental damage towards any child's psyche when it comes to this type of discussion we're having. But so I just wanted to have us be able to wrap this up before we have time. I see the time is getting low. We're speaking about kid influencers and the commodifiable authenticity that comes with just everything they're putting onto the content. Do they own it? Should they own it? Should their parents own it? Should the revenue they're making they own? Should there be better percentages? As we see, they're having laws placed recently to try to get some sort of support the kids' needs, but to y'all comments in our discussions ourselves, it is not enough, clearly, and there should be further change to that. But for all the kids that were put through hardships like Piper, even like the Lil Tay, when it comes to these topics, we're seeing grooming, not even the best way to be put out into the internet, but they're being put out on the internet in a forceful way. These things are not something that we should be abiding by. Unfortunately, that is going to happen. It is ground zero. Social media is warping, internet's warping, is changing. But we're going to have to find some sort of way to make this regulated, honestly. So the next time that you think you're going to scroll past a kid influencer online, take a moment to think about like who's really benefiting when you're watching this kid influencer. Is it going to be the kid? Is it going to be the parents, the brand, all of them, or none of them? We don't know what is truly authentic on the screen. Today, it is just a screen and it's just a video. So hopefully in the future, these kid influencers will receive the support and the actual help they need when it comes to having a foundation in this new scene we know. But thank you for the time that y'all gave to us. We are Group 3 again.
Yeah, if y'all still have any more questions, just keep them pouring in.
Yeah, no, this is Q&A at this point. I mean, we've having great conversation with
we
y'all.
have a few minutes for Q&A. We can do Q&A. Matilda, do you have any questions for them? I guess the question. Oh, go ahead. You go, and then I'll go.
I was just gonna say you put me on the spot, so I don't have nothing right now. But
that's okay.
I'll come up with
I guess I could ask a question about like commodifiable authenticity. Does the child perform the authenticity, or is it crafted through the eyes of the parents? And at what point is it true authenticity versus that calibrated authenticity that you were talking about in that article?
I think it, like from the get-go, maybe at the beginning, like if the kid just starts posting spontaneous. Another thing that was said in the article was that like it starts off with parents just posting home videos, trying to like retain memories. So maybe at the beginning it is truly authentic, but as it goes on and they start to like gain a following, you see things get this like staged, like what was it, the Ace family? You know, like it was just, it was so staged and put up, and so much backlash and things that happened after. So I think like pretty quickly it's I don't even think it's the parents' authenticity. It's like what they want to be perceived as authentic. You know, they're making their own reality.
Thank you. One question from Matilda, and then we'll just wrap it up.
Okay, so I was gonna ask about wow, I had a great question in mind and now I drew a blank.
No.
I know. And it was actually, there's some great questions in the, I was trying to go through the comments and see if we missed a great question. But wow, why can't I think of my question?
That's okay. We can wrap up.
Wow, that's so sad. It was such a good question too. And I was so like sidetracked listening to you answer that question that I totally forgot it.
No, that's
Put
okay.
in the WhatsApp.
That's right. Yeah, the conversation can definitely continue. I just want to say wonderful job to group 3. What a fun afternoon that we have had with all of you, and what great conversation and content. Just overall, just a wonderful job. And I'm so proud of you. You did a great show. Matilda, any feedback or thoughts for them?
Yes, great show. And it's just such a fun topic, and y'all did a really, really good job covering it. It was really fun. And I get some great examples and relatable examples. And I think kind of like the examples we've all seen on our social media. So good job keeping it relatable for everybody. And I think the comments speak for itself. A lot of comments. So thank you to the audience. We had great.
Yes. Oh, yes. Thank you, audience. You were wonderful. I just want to do some reminders. If you haven't checked out my announcement for this week, please do, because I put all like the key dates that are still upcoming in the course, and I do want you to hit those and make sure you get them right. Otherwise, have a great day, and I'll see you next week. See you soon. Bye, everyone.